Well, good evening, everyone. It's 7:08 and we're getting started. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association Village Board meeting. We are going to start off with our usual two administrative items. The first being approval of the minutes from the January 14th board meeting. I have a motion to approve from Bill before I even ask for one, but that's cool. Is there a second?
Oh, I can second.
I'll take a second from Karen. You just can't vote, but you can
Great,
second.
I can second, I can even.
All right, all in favor in the room? Okay, and online?
Paulette gave a thumbs up.
Paulette gave a thumbs up.
Oh,
Andrew, you
Andrew
good?
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's hard to see. Okay. All right, so that's 4-0-0. Okay, next up is approval of the agenda for tonight's board meeting. Is there a motion to approve? I'll take a motion from Bill. I'll take a second from Karen. Any discussion of the agenda? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4-0-0.
He's got a thumbs up.
He's got a
It's on
thumbs
the
up.
It's in the
Yeah.
left hand corner. It's just that it's a good to like.
Now that I know.
Was very
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next we have resident remarks. Anyone wishing to remake, I can't talk, anyone wishing to make remarks to the board has up to 3 minutes. And is there anyone out there who wishes to make remarks? All right, moving on from that, I guess we go right to the board chair report. Look at that. Gosh, so it's a light meeting tonight.
It is a light meeting.
And we're ahead of schedule too.
And we're ahead of schedule. Board chair report, obviously, the Hip Hop Chicken is open. They've been pretty busy. 7-Eleven had its soft open. I've have actually not made it into the store yet. I filled up a tank of gas there and I got a car wash on Sunday, but I promised my kids I wouldn't go in until they can go in with me and get Slurpees. So we're planning to do that later this week. But it's good to see everything just, lit up and alive. I mean, hip hop's fantastic, but especially over there because from the day I moved here, that's been a dark vacant lot. So
Yep.
This is like miraculous.
We got coupons over in Oak Brown. They mailed them out.
Yeah, there was a mass mailer. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
that's
coupons
so
too.
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then if you get the 7-Eleven app, you can get discounts on fill-ups. I think your first however
Yeah.
many number of fill-ups, you get like 6 cents a gallon off or something like that, along with other things. Yeah. So yeah, it's exciting to see all that. So that's all good news. I do not have an update on the management contract. There was a meeting among Brad and I believe Bill Santos, and there may have been one other yesterday. I was at work, so I couldn't join it. It was scheduled like over Zoom at 10 o'clock.
Why was Bill Santos?
I need to get an update from Brad. I think it came out of some discussion that he and Bill were having at the dinner
Okay.
the other night. But I don't know.
That's
I don't have any details.
thank you.
And I wish I could have done it, but they didn't schedule it during lunch. They scheduled it at 10 in the
Right.
morning and I was, eyeballs deep in meetings, so the opportunity passed. But I'll get an update from Brad.
I wasn't there, obviously, but my guess is based on the managers meeting that we had yesterday. It was in reference to something that you had discussed at the dinner regarding the excess cash and that we return to CA, and if we don't return that, what an alternative, or if we keep it, what an alternative way to like balance it out with CA or some, that's what they were, did you remember this conversation?
I wasn't in that conversation.
Oh, you weren't in that
I
conversation, because I was led to believe you
I was
were.
with Karen most of the night.
Yeah.
Okay, your name was being thrown around and I didn't know any different, so
that's
I
fascinating.
apologize, I didn't defend you, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, like I said, when they said, well, let's have a meeting, Brad, so there were emails going around, then Brad added me to the email chain.
Oh, okay,
So I wasn't even in the original email chain following that. So yeah, I need to get caught up on what's happening.
okay, that was my guess.
I think it was probably Brad, Bill and Steve Ingley, from Harper's Choice Village Manager, because I believe he was the other name in the meeting.
Okay,
My curiosity is because Bill is not a negotiator for this contract. He's simply the chair of the CA Board of Directors. And so I'm wondering what his interest was. I'm just curious.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can only report that a meeting happened. I don't know the outcome or anything yet. But I will get in touch with Brad at some point this week and get more information. There was no doing it yesterday, and today I basically got home from work with enough time to get a glass of water, change my clothes and come here. So,
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow evening I can get in touch with them. I apologize, but I don't have anything new to report on that. The dinner was nice though. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, CA, for hosting that.
Right.
I said thank you to Sean. I don't think I ever said thank you to you, but it was very nice.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. The other stuff, I guess I can save for the education report because we did an education committee meeting. So I think right now, I'm trying to remember if there was anything else. And no, I believe right now that's all I have.
Okay.
Send it over to Karen.
Okay, so I have not put out my newsletter because I am gathering my thoughts and trying to put them into a coherent sentence so that people understand what it is I'm trying to say to them. About pools, my favorite topic. So in the past board meeting, in the last board meeting, we got to see the draft budget. And no surprise, it looks a lot like last year's budget, except there's a 3% increase. So I'm not sure, the things that are happening there, like, we're pushing for affordability for residents and to add value for paying the annual assessment. And I didn't really see that in that budget. It just seemed like they just gave us the same exact thing they've given us for several years and just increased it by a certain percentage. So I was disappointed by that, but it was not unexpected. It's only myself and a couple people who actually are fighting to make the pools no extra charge for the residents. And I wanted to talk to you guys. I don't know if you'll remember this. I don't know how long everybody here has been on this board. But in 2021, the CA Board of Directors tried to make the pools, the outdoor pools, no charge for the residents, no additional charge for the residents. And what Lakey Boyd came back at them and said, she was the CEO at the time, was that would be, and it would require raising the annual charge by 6 cents. So right now it's set at 68 cents, and I can't remember the formula if someone remembers it off the top of the head, but I think it's like 50%. They assess 50% of every $100 of value, and so it's 68%, it's 68 cents. And so I probably messed that formula up, but I have it in a newsletter somewhere. Anyway, so that would have meant that your annual charge would have gone up to 74 cents, and that probably for some people that would have been a couple $100 more, but it would have been significantly more for the higher assessed houses. That amount of annual charge comes to around $4 million. In the last several years, CA has beat the budget each year by $3 or $4 million. So they certainly can afford the pools. And the reason that the board didn't, push for free pools then is they didn't want to raise the annual charge. And I think they were a little shell shocked from the pandemic. I don't want to read their minds, but CA had laid off a lot of employees, the people weren't going to the pools in 2020, they weren't using the gyms, those types of things. So I think that the board just really didn't want to raise people's annual charge. But looking at the budget since then, I think that things have really turned around. I think that, there's other efficiencies within that budget, so we certainly can afford it. Other board members have started to ask me for more data, which I think is a good sign. And I'm willing to sit down with anybody and talk through the numbers with them. I think we've got it well documented. I think it's definitely something that maybe we can get more board members to come on. And my thing that I've been pressing for is, and you guys have heard this again and again and again, so I'll repeat it one more time, is less than 30% of the residents in Columbia participate in any programs or facilities. And that is, I just think that that's not, I called it a colossal failure in December. I haven't changed my mind about that. When you've created an organization that is supposed to be for the residents and to make sure that they're enjoying the amenities, I think that you've lost the thread if less than 30% are actually participating. So we need to do something to change that. So that's my update on the budget. We have another, I think our next meeting is February 13th, but I need to look at the calendar. I know that we have a working session coming up in the next few weeks to talk about policies, which is another big thing to me, because I think that the board doesn't know what policies that they're operating under. And I would like to see all of the policies on the website. Anybody can go and find them, read them, understand what they say, understand when they're applied, when they're not applied. That was really what I was pushing for last year when I tried to get my easement policy passed, was I wanted people to understand exactly what policies they were living with and how they worked, right? I wanted the community to understand it. I wanted anybody who's doing business with Columbia Association to understand it. And I wanted the board and senior leadership team to have a full understanding of the policies that we're living under. So, okay, moving on. The other thing that got talked about in our last meeting was the strategic plan, and I really was super enthusiastic about everything that they were doing within the strategic plan until our last meeting. And Judelle has worked incredibly hard. She interviewed all the board members. She did a really, really good job of getting information. And it's an excellent framework. If you go and you look at the plan that was in the packet last week, it's a really good framework. But what's missing is what we're actually doing. And there's no vision associated with it. And that's where they lose me. What is Columbia Association going to be in the next 5 years? What are we today and where are we going? And things that they have built in, they've definitely listened to what I've been saying, because I've been saying we need to be innovative. We need to show resiliency. Those are like two key things for me. And so we tabled we didn't table it. We didn't table it, but we voted that it's the strategic plan. And each year the board has to decide which goals are associated with that strategic plan. But in my mind, without a clear vision of where we're trying to go, it doesn't really, it's not a really, I don't see how that strategic plan can be. And so, anyway, so those are the two things well, I guess it was three, things that were on my mind from the last meeting. And are there any questions?
No, I just one comment.
Sure.
That a strategic plan, my opinion, implied in that is the plan works toward a goal. Like, where are we going to be in the next 5 years, et cetera. So I agree with you. Need the goal.
Strategy.
Yes.
Questions for Karen? Right. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
We're just cruising on through tonight. I needed an easy meeting. Brigitte, operations update.
Yeah, so the village manager's report is up on this shared screen. A couple of big things. So why did I see that? Oh, the village manager representatives, there's Steve from Harper's Choice and Laura from Hickory Ridge met with the CA negotiation representatives today. Not much, there's not really any news. They asked for some further explanations as to the changes that requested, but there wasn't much feedback based on what Laura reported back from CA. Tomorrow afternoon, the village managers meet with I want to say it's Julia, maybe Sean. Julia called the meeting, but from what I saw from the invite list, Sean McInnes will be there, and Judelle, and a lot of the players who have been dealing with the contract negotiations. And this is to talk about the facilities usage. There's a lot of speculation about what it could be about, but nobody is been given a clear definition of what it's about. So I will let you know after that meeting tomorrow. And today, very exciting, there are new management company over at Columbia Point, Ross Companies. And, today, myself and the Covenant team, met with their, on-site, I'm not gonna get all their titles wrong, right, and I apologize, but the on-site manager, the next level, and then the overall marketing manager. So they were very excited. They have a lot of good ideas. They are excited to be a part of our community. And they they're working on some changes, but it will be a few months down the road. So maybe in March, they'll be presenting those changes at a board meeting. So it was a really nice meeting today, and I think it was a good first connection. I did, Paulette, just so you know, I did give them your name and told them that you were working with the tenants and that you were a good person to kind of get in touch with. And I gave them all the contact information for all the board members and staff. So I can send you their names specifically, Paulette, and that way you'll know when they reach out to you. I told them that you were the chair of the newly formed tenant committee. So just so you know, if somebody contacts you, I am the one who gave them your name.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
What is the name again of the new company?
It's Ross
Ross.
Companies.
ROSS.
Yeah, and it's all capital letters, ROSS.
Still same ownership, just different.
That's what they said, but the interesting thing was I was trying to find out how they were broken down and I couldn't, so I need to ask for more specifics regarding that.
I'm trying to see if they're a local company.
Question, right to that point. Was Columbia Point purchased by another company, or did the existing owners get a new management
My
company?
understanding is the owners got a new management company. But when I tried to follow up on that, I was a little unclear, so I was trying to verify that before the meeting tonight, because I knew you were gonna have that question. But I couldn't,
Well-
the answer.
Because you have here a new company has purchased Columbia Point.
And that's what I understood when to be honest with you, I
Okay.
put this together yesterday and I met with
Okay.
them today, so,
The website is no longer what it was. but it's
Right,
still-
because when they go to do the rental escrows, they're having a hard time finding like an address or even like a name for like who it should go to.
okay.
Columbia, we should have.
Yeah, I'll follow up with them tomorrow and see if they can give me some clarity on that. And I will, and they may have told me today and I may have misunderstood because there was a lot of information being shared. But I will follow up and I will get back to you and answer your question.
Thank you.
On their homepage, it looks like they could either be the management company or the owner. It's hard to, because they do both.
I was trying to look in the state real estate database,
Mhm.
but I can't even get them to come up.
I mean, the
You came up through that list.
assessment and.
Yeah,
taxation
they are
Yeah.
located in Bethesda,
To
yeah.
see if it was.
Looks like they're
the new owner on
Right.
the stat
Virginia.
record.
Right, yeah,
Stat records tend to run about 4 weeks behind, is my personal experience.
okay,
But it could be that if it was done longer than 4 weeks, then it would be in the stat record.
yeah.
If, are you, okay, we gone in by address?
I'm
or-
going down the street now, yeah, I was,
Okay, but if you go into the interactive map and put in property boundaries, then click on that property, it will tell you, give you the SStat record, and then you can click on the SStat record.
They did say the transition happened and see, they use the word purchase, so that's why I'm unclear as to whether or not, but then later on it alluded to that they were just a new management company. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm a little unclear and I don't want to give wrong information.
Right.
So, but it was December 19th because Mike did ask the question as far as when they had taken over, and so they had indicated it was December 19th.
It could be on the SStat record.
There's Columbia Point. Do I have to turn something on?
Turn on, come over here to general layers. Click on general layers, then property boundaries is where's
Aha.
property boundary, click on that. And once you do that, then you click in the area of the property that you want over here.
So that's in this area.
And then clicked on that. And now
Okay.
that was for,
Do I click the wrong
no.
one?
You click, you had that SDOT record, but that's for Grady Properties.
Oh,
So-
I'm clicking Grady. Huh.
Okay, so go back to the map and then click on,
Let me zoom out.
yeah, yes, exactly, a little bit. And click
I wanna
on
be
it
in
right in there, I think
here.
it's gonna be,
Yeah, because that's their narrow driveway. That's them. I clicked the wrong.
yep, okay, it's a LLC, so you click there. And then you know your way from here. And you can see, come down here to see when
Yeah,
the
look at the
transactions. Okay, 7/01/2024. No, where's, oh, there
No,
it is.
the last transfer was from Grand Point
Yeah,
in 22.
yeah, that would be, so if it was a sale the 19th, it might not have hit the record
Yeah.
yet. Okay, and I remember like 79 million, so 78 million was the last purchase. And if it was a new purchase, I was gonna say the last one was a couple years ago. I want to
Yes.
see how much they made if they did sell it.
Right,
For a 2-year turnaround, how much money they made in the process of turning around and was it worth it? Because the ownership of that property, when I went to the ownership's website last year, my personal opinion is that company that then owned it was very focused on making a lot of money on it.
they were,
Mhm.
they seem
Okay.
more private equity. It seemed like private equity
Bingo.
Mhm.
So
company.
I'm not sure whether it's just a new management company, because there were so many tenant resident problems there with how the building was being managed, and the owners got a new management company, or whether it was time to
Right.
sell, make a profit, and get out of Dodge, and a new company has purchased it. But if, at minimum, a new management company, I think would be a positive sign that they realized there were
Yeah.
issues there that weren't being squared away.
Paulette has their hand up.
Paulette?
Hi, yes, at my last meeting, they were told that, with Columbia Point, they were told that it was a new management company.
Okay,
That's all they know.
Okay.
Yeah.
According to their website.
Mhm.
How is that? Yeah, I will
Okay.
clarify tomorrow and I will
Okay.
let you all know.
appreciate that.
Mhm. And, yeah, I mean, I put out election information. It went out in a single email last week, and then today I added it to the e-news that we put out. So people would be aware, since it's coming up on candidate applications will be available. So all that information can be found on the website. And that's it. I mean, unless anybody has any other questions, and
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, moving right along. Committee reports. Andrew, you have anything architecture?
No, nothing going on for architecture. Yeah.
Okay. Education, the committee did meet tonight. Such as it was, we had one person, Travis Springs was here. But we did spend some time, well, one of the things we talked about was, whether any of the executive orders or other things going on at the federal level is gonna, filter down and affect funding at our schools, and the answer is we just don't know. In the school system, there's even put something out, kind of that effect. It's a little bit of wait and see. So then we primarily talked, as we often do, about the capital budget, and everyone probably saw the email that Brigida put out with my face on it about the capital budget, the work toward, I guess, a new capital budget and capital plan process. I don't know why and especially on such short notice that the meeting was moved from Oakland Mills High School tonight, the community meeting, to Wild Lake High School tomorrow night. There was also the meeting at Guilford Park. There are also opportunities to go to office hours at the library as well as take the survey. If I can get to the meeting tomorrow, I might try. I don't know, exactly what it'll look like or how productive it will be. I did take the survey, and I would encourage people to take the survey, and I'm actually gonna, it doesn't send you back a summary of your responses, so I'm gonna, kind of paraphrase what I did, but I'm also gonna bring the survey up so I can remember all the questions. And I actually did this as me, so if y'all want me to do it as the OMCA version of me, I can do it again. I did this as parent, but I could also do it as community member with my OMCA email address. But wanted to run by you what I put in there before I do anything like that. So, it starts off with the usual stuff, who are you, what's your email address, fun stuff like that. And then it asks your zip code, so obviously I put in 21045. So the first question is a multiple choice, and it asks what weight should be given to address facility condition versus capacity, starting at 30% facility, 70% capacity, and then changing by increments of 10 percentage points till it gets to 70% facility, 30% capacity. I clicked other so that I could elaborate later. Then it asks to rank the importance of individual considerations from high to low. Facility condition, I said high. Remaining useful life of the building, I said high. Number and cost of maintenance work orders, I said high. Facility features and conditions related to health and safety, I said high. Students experiencing buildings with high facility condition needs from elementary through high school. I did not rank that at the bottom, but I put it more in the middle because, that was a problem here for a while when like Talbot Springs was completely falling apart, and then Oakland Mills Middle, Oakland Mills High, Stevens Forest, and Thunder Hill were renovated, a while back, but it's they're different feeds, so it's kind of hard to answer that because we don't have a true feeder system in Howard County. So I kind of put it in the middle. Need capacity based on projected enrollment, I put that bottom, way low. Students experiencing buildings with high enrollment from elementary through high school, I put that lower as well. Improvements needed to address functional or programmatic space deficiencies, I put that high. Because even, in our high school and middle school, even if they were in tip-top condition, they actually have programmatic and functional deficiencies relative to newer buildings. They were built to 1973 standards, or 1972 in the case of the middle school. So then there's an open-ended question. Please list any factors you suggest for consideration. And I said in my response, because when you click other on that 70 to 30 thing, it doesn't let you give an open. So I use this to give that response. And I said that individual building capacity, utilization, and capacity for a school building should not be a consideration at all, because we are a single school district, and it's the superintendent and the Board of Education who choose how each school building is going to be used. And there's been a history of avoiding certain school buildings and then turning around and saying, well, we can't put this in the capital improvement plan because it doesn't need additional capacity while neighboring schools are bursting at the seams. And I concluded by saying, you can't set up a formula, to solve for your capital budget if the Board of Education also controls one of the other variables in that formula, and that's the capacity utilization. You have to look across the county as a whole. So that was that page, and then I don't think it's going to let me advance to the next page without taking it again. No, it's not. But there was some more stuff on the next page, and there was another open-ended question on the next page, and that was like, what would you do? Kind of what are your suggestions for getting more community engagement and input? And I said, stop the capital improvement plan and budget, hearing Hunger Games, where those who are able and aware are able to turn out and plead their case. I said, show up in the communities, in the buildings when, the parents and students are there,
Come to the
So,
PTA meetings.
come to the, or come to the back to school night when there are a lot of people there, and then literally walk the buildings, with the parents and students. So that they can point out to you what the deficiencies are and what the issues are. Because otherwise, you're catering to whoever is, fortunate enough to be able to take the time and, get to the Board of Education meeting at the right time and sit there for a long time and, give their testimony and hold up their signs and everything.
Brave
And-
enough to do it too, some people just.
And brave enough, yeah, and that's not necessarily, how it should work. And another thing I added was, you also, you need to look at the real world experience because I've seen data, some of these state facility, indices have surprising results where you'll see a newer high school actually show up higher on the index, higher score being worse than a school like Oakland Mills. Because maybe it's a much larger building and it needs its windows replaced. So there's more others. And then it ends up like being higher based on that scoring rubric than a place like Oakland Mills, which is maybe smaller and has fewer windows. That's just an example I'm giving. So I said, you really need to look at the real world experience. And I actually cited Oakland Mills High in this response. I said, how many schools, for example, have had to shut down the entire building or parts of the building because of sewage leaks and floods and mold, which have all happened at Oakland Mills High over the past year. So, having what looks like an objective index, sounds good on paper, but there's a bit of a lack of transparency, at least in the way I feel and the way I've talked to others about it, in how those indices are actually created, where, there actually is a, 25-year newer school that, has a higher index score than a building like Oakland Mills High School, because of other factors that come into play. So, I mean, that's what I did as me. I could do it again as, OMCA, but I would also encourage, everyone else to at least take a look at that survey and, perhaps fill out based on what you've seen for yourself or, your experience on the board as we've worked through this over the years, et cetera. Where this goes in the end, I don't know. There is kind of a proposed rubric out there that considers things like facility index and deferred maintenance and capacity and other stuff and, assigns points and things like that. But, I don't know where it'll all eventually land. Which is why I guess they're seeking the input right now. Any questions on that, Bill?
I'll agree with you all the way. I did fill that out, and when the open-ended question at the end had involved the public, etc. I said, I slated everything toward facility and not capacity. And need to spend the maintenance expenditures, capital budget to keep the facility in excellent condition, treat it just like it's your own home. What we need to do is involve the public in creating facility analysis and facility process to score each facility, have the community involved in that. Then let the numbers set the priorities. Priorities don't change unless there's emergency. And each year, the top few get the work done. Everybody else moves up so that next year, the top few get their work done, etc. The more analytical, objective, and logical, the better. The less political, the better. That's my
Very good, yeah. And by the way, Oakland Mills High is well over capacity now. It has portables in the parking lot. So, I also think, I think it's good to continue to say, but that shouldn't matter because while it did matter and affected Oakland Mills High back then, now Oakland Mills High looks good for that, but it still shouldn't matter. If kids anywhere are going in, to school in a building that's filling with sewage, it shouldn't matter where that building is relative to what its maximum capacity is, especially, like I said, when it's the same decision makers who set the attendance districts and then therefore influence each building's capacity.
I mean, I think the disappointing thing is all these buildings were going to need major renovations at exactly the same time. They were all built right around the same time. We should have had a plan for that.
Well, yes and no. If things were done correctly, Karen, I would agree with you 100%. The reason I slightly disagree with you, and it's easier to look at the high schools just because there are fewer of them. If you look at the high schools that have had systemic renovations, right? We have the two old ones, you know, Howard and Gleno, right?
Right.
Those, and they've had a lot going on. They've had things built on, you know, a lot has gone on.
They've
at
had
both of those.
massive renovations.
All right, so those kind of predate the, you know, real development of
Yep.
Columbia and the rest of Howard County. So then you get, you know, schools like, you know, Atholton coming online, Wild Lake comes online, Oakland Mills comes online, Hammond comes online, Centennial, and then you start getting into the 80s and 90s. Well, if you look at what happened, Wild Lake got rebuilt. Atholton, which I think opened in 66 or 67. So Wild Lake was 68, I think, 68 or 69.
It was the first time.
Atholton 66 or 67 has had a full, you know, renovation. You go in there and it looks like, it doesn't look like a 60-year-old building. So next up would have been Oakland Mills, except it wasn't.
Right,
We built some schools, and then we did Hammond, which needed to be done, but then we did Hammond, and then for a while, we're saying, well, maybe Centennial's next. So, you know, 1973 got skipped over for building some in the 80s, building some in the 90s, building some in the you know 2020s, and then going back and looking at the ones built later in the 70s. So you're right. If you look at when these were built, they were all going to come due about the same time. But I think, you know, over time, the problem has also been exacerbated because when you don't kind of tackle them in that order and then you skip around and try to go back, well, the going back becomes a lot more expensive than it would have been had you done them in that order. And I think Oakland Mills High is a great example of that because look at the money they have to put in, you know, last summer and this summer just to keep things functioning until it can be done. So yes, in a perfect timeline, it still would have been, I think, a problem, but I think the system made it worse
I
by,
haven't looked at the capacity for Howard recently, but at one point, I mean, they probably still do, they had 15 trailers, despite all the renovations and expansion of Howard High School, they had 15
yeah.
portables. They're not portable, cost about $80,000 to move one of them. But, yeah, they had like 15 and it breaks my heart that Marriott's Ridge is a relatively new high school. It's already over capacity. What is it, Reservoir? I think Reservoir might be the one that's most over capacity now. But anyway,
Yeah, Howard is no longer because of the, you know, construction of Guilford Park and moving people around and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an issue. And, you know, to go back to that, when, you know, Howard and Longreach were really, really bursting at the seams, and they were simultaneously saying, well, we can't prioritize Oakland Mills because it's under capacity. That's what we were saying. Well, Oakland Mills shares a boundary with Howard over here, and it shares a boundary with Longreach over here, but you won't put anyone in there. So you got two bursting at the seams, and you have one desperately in need of repairs and renovation, and you're saying you won't do that because it's under capacity. And that's where I'm saying you cannot have the same authority control both of those variables in the equation,
agreed.
or those are the outcomes you get. All right, that was my education committee soapbox. I'll step down now and go over to what's next. Public space.
It is, but Warren is not
Warren is
here.
not here.
Yeah.
Tenant committee, Paulette. I didn't know if Warren submitted anything in writing. Paulette, anything tenant committee?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was stuck. So, yeah, I couldn't get the mute off. I did have a couple of people come to me because they fell on the ice at Columbia Point. A couple of older ladies said that they had contacted the new management, but they still were like, they said they didn't get the ice up until maybe a week after everybody, you know, after everybody had gone back to work or whatever. But it was two of them that had fallen. So they were pretty upset about that, and they were trying to figure out who they can contact or, you know, how they can make sure that they actually get the ice and the snow up. It was a lot of snow. They sent pictures and everything. And that's about it.
So they can, I mean, they can always reach out to our office. Karina does put out just a generic letter reminding properties that it is their responsibility to, and puts the Howard County Code, et cetera, about shoveling and making sure that there's clear access and clear walkways. So I can always, that's what we can do. Of course, we can go back and
Mhm.
check that they do and remind them further. But I do find that when she sends that letter, if she has a number, she can also call, but she will follow up and to ensure that, look, you have to shovel your sidewalks.
Okay, so should I tell them to contact you guys, or am I just gonna be the person to contact them or whatever?
No, you can have them reach out, you can have them reach out to me and I'm happy to respond, and then I can have a conversation with Karina. I can't do anything beyond that, but I can certainly, should we have another snow ice event, or if there's any lingering snow or ice, on the walkways, ensure that, Karina reaches out and say, look, you have to have that removed.
Well, are these their internal private sidewalks, or is this the sidewalk along Stevens Forest adjacent to their property, the public sidewalk?
Well, that, was it within Columbia Point's, was it their sidewalks, do you know?
Yes, it was within Columbia Point.
Yeah, so Karina really can't cite the county code on that, that's,
They should be able to file some kind of an incident report though, like, especially if there's two of them, there's a witness.
yeah,
If they have a witness who saw them, if they were by themselves and they fell, it's, a witness helps with that, but they should be able to file an incident report with the management company of the apartment complex.
But the
And if
management
that-
company
that
doesn't
company,
follow the
Ross is-
rules.
If Ross is the company, that's who, they should call on the homepage of Ross's, website, they give the address and phone number to contact.
Right, remember I told you the courts are having a hard time figuring out who to contact, what address, what phone number. And the
Right.
tenants don't really know that people come in and they tell them one thing, and then when a problem happens, they don't have anybody to contact. They don't follow the rules.
One thing I would say is if people have to seek medical attention, just I guess keep the bills, and that my
Okay.
impression is that like all apartment complexes have to have an insurance policy which covers
Yep.
you if you fall on their property on like a public space, like
Right.
walk. Um, so yeah, theoretically there should be an insurance policy that would cover their medical bills. The question is, can you get access to that? But so yeah,
Right.
I don't know who you'd follow up with for that, but maybe Howard County.
so Vicky, I was actually going to ask, I mean, just, for, licensing and permit purposes, since it's rental property, doesn't the county have to know who's in charge at any time? Like,
Who's in charge?
where can the
Good point.
tenants go to find out who is in charge of Columbia Point right now, and who the point of contact is? Because they have to be licensed to operate it. Yeah, because what Paulette's saying is right now with this transition, tenants don't even know who to reach out to, who to contact, nothing.
I imagine, yeah. Is no one picking up the phone when you call out there, or when the tenants call out there, no one's picking up the phone?
Paulette's saying the
They
tenants
don't pick up the phone. They don't, remember when they were saying that they would say that work orders were completed when they weren't completed, that all of that stuff is still going on. That stuff hasn't stopped.
Well, didn't the new company just start and?
They did, and they did say today that they are playing a lot of catch up, so I'm just passing on the word, but they did say that they wanted the residents to have patience, that they were playing a lot of catch up, so,
They're in transition mode,
yeah.
I would imagine, but I mean, so you want to find out who the new actual manager is that will be on.
Who has
site?
oversight of this at Howard County? Who has
Put it
oversight?
this way, the judges don't even know where to send the subpoenas to. They don't have a concrete address or company, and this was before the transition. They did not know who or where to send the subpoenas to for them to come to court. So these people keep going to court and they're not showing up because they're not getting served.
I mean, I'm trying to understand because the previous landlord or property manager, they're no longer there. You want
Right,
to
so
find- You want to find
oh,
out.
I'm sorry.
You want to find out
They-
who the
They
manager
do
is?
have the new information. What I'm saying is that when it's time for subpoenas to go out, there's no valid address. There's no, like, it comes back to the courthouse is what they're saying. They're saying, well, it's owned by this, but it's managed by this, and they don't know who they should send it to because they don't have a concrete address. And it just comes back different every time depending on what's going on, I guess. It's just either one or the other. Either they don't
Yeah,
know
so-
who
So
it
the
is
owner,
or
so
they
in
the
other
don't
owner
have
is
words,
the address.
still, the owner is still the same, is what I'm hearing.
Right, so in other words, I guess the address of Columbia Point, I believe, is 5764 Stevens Forest Road. But that's not really the business address.
Right.
And so
Right,
anything from the
remember
court needs to go to a business address, and that's apparently
right.
what happened.
I remember when all of this was happening, I think I remember correctly there, we had an owner's name, address.
Well, they used
I have to
that
go
what
back to
they
my notes, but I
originally
do
had
believe that we did have all of that.
and it came back. Yeah, they did. They used what they originally had and it came back. So then from then on, they thought that they had found a different address and then the court subpoenaed and it went back and it came out and then it came back. So it was a couple of times that they thought they had the right address, the one that was listed, and then they found another one and then it came back. So right now they don't really know exactly where to send it to. And they do know about the Ross management stuff as well, but it's not what they need as far as the court goes, as far as I know right now. I haven't had any new updates.
I can ask to see if that's something that, like you said, DLR might be able to locate.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought maybe, Dill would have to have records, to keep them properly licensed as a rental property, but I'm not even sure.
But that's the thing, if it's the same company, ownership, but she's saying that everything's getting returned coming back to.
Yeah, I think somebody just went to court 2 weeks ago and it came back as well. And this is after they switched over to Ross.
Do they have to file a public tax, like if you looked at their tax forms, would they must use an address on their tax forms?
Well, they have addresses, they're just not correct addresses. They have a lot of addresses listed, they're just not correct.
But I'm wondering what address they use on their tax form, like what?
Oh,
It
yeah. I
also
don't
may
know,
not
I'm
be
sorry.
right.
Yeah,
I'll ask, I mean, maybe what they have in the county.
yeah, maybe.
That you've been using, but. I'll find out. And get back to you.
Okay, thank you. But otherwise, everything is working out.
Thanks. So actually,
Okay.
something Paulette raised leads to another question from me, maybe Vicky or Ashley. I think the county code is pretty clear about the property owner being responsible for clearing the sidewalk immediately adjacent to their property. Who is responsible for clearing the pedestrian refuge islands in the middle of streets, of which we have a few and we have more now? Because I've noticed those don't get cleared and there really isn't an adjacent property to those. But the one, the one across Stevens Forest at Kilimanjaro is full of ice and snow. The one by
Lightning
Oakland
View.
Mills Middle is full of ice and snow. The one at Lightning View.
They're like the crosswalk islands.
These are like the pedestrian refuge islands in the middle of the road.
The one,
which-
the one at the end of Thunder Hill, right
Get
by.
the ice
yeah.
up so that the kids can walk
The
across.
one
Yeah.
at Thunder Hill and 175 in Thunder Hill, where you cross over at Lightning View, that one's not cleared, if you're gonna list them all. And then the one at the other end of Lightning View, right at Mellenbrook, that one's not cleared either.
All right, I'll send it over to, Chris,
I'll wait now.
find out who is responsible for clearing.
It's a big deal too, and Vicky, let me know if, because I know that CA does take care of some medians. Right, like, I think on Kilimanjaro Road, right at Oakland Mills Road, I think like those, when you're coming into the Stevens Forest. Those are, CA I think handles those, but I don't think CA doesn't have anything to do with sidewalks. Or crosswalks, right? So I have a feeling that's the county, and I will say this, having fallen, not this year, but where those yellow Lego type platform, those things are at the curb cuts, when you walk across those, there's usually ice that's right under them. And I'm aware now, so I look for it, but those get really icy. Those get really icy. I'm not the only one who's fallen in those, but.
Okay, well, I will send an email to Chris, and then if he wants more specific information, like where they're located, I'll,
Yeah,
have him. Forget
Yeah, and then really, this is also, I mean, because probably by the end of tomorrow it'll be fine, it's gonna be 60 degrees, but this is a more general question, because, I mean, countywide, it seems like after every snow, those are kind of unaccounted for, but those are actually, you know, pretty critical, especially in areas where you have a lot of, you know, walkers like we do here.
yeah, the ones near the traffic circle. Near the Stevens Forest School.
Yeah, and it seems like those over the years have become more popular, and for good reason. I mean, they're helpful, but you know, when people are diverting further out into the street because they're blocked with ice, then they actually become more dangerous than not having anything, most likely.
Well, I think that, like, I will say this so we got a new crosswalk on Mellenbrook Road right at Lightning View Road. So when you're coming from the elementary school and you're walking down towards Lightning View Road, and I know this because this is the route I take with my dog, we started to use the new crosswalk. However, what I noticed was the sidewalks, the homeowners may have cleared the sidewalks, but they don't believe, like, that's not their responsibility to clean out necessarily where you walk across, where it's been, you know, made, and where that curb cut is. And so every curb cut off of Thunder Hill Road, like at Netherstone, what are my three courts? I can't think of the three names of them right now. But anyway, Drywell, and I can't think of the last one now. Those three courts, because I walk at the end of those, like where the curb cuts are, that is not cleared at all. And also, as Jonathan's saying, the islands are really, those are just completely filled with snow. And ice.
No, Chris. So we'll know in the future. And I thought he had sent me something. There was another
Yeah.
community that had a question about who clears the sidewalks and that kind of thing. I'm gonna find it.
People with corner lots are always shocked to find out that they own that entire.
Yeah,
Well, especially when you've got curb cuts, that's kind of hard, and especially with like the snow plows.
The snowplow fills it
the
up.
curb cuts
it's
get
really
plowed
hard
in.
to clear.
Yeah, they get
I
plowed
mean,
in.
that is
Yeah.
part of the issue.
So. Snow removal and maintenance of sidewalks is the responsibility of the adjacent property owner. Highways typically does not maintain sidewalks, but in some occasions, the county is the adjacent property owner, like facilities, Record Parks, Howard County Public Schools, Housing Commission. And they would maintain some of those locations.
So I would argue that then the county is the property owner of any of those pedestrian refuges, because it's county road on either side. There's no private property abutting either side of those, because they sit in the middle of the road.
And the homeowners need to be notified that they have to clear out the curb cuts,
Right.
because they're not doing that either. And I don't blame them, because that's a lot of heavy digging. That's a lot of unhealthy.
And this was recent.
So cinnamon tree
January
is supposed to take
24th.
care of that curb cut at Kilimanjaro and Stevens Forest.
And CA
Do you
should
wanna
take care
give
of
me
the other
those
side, because that's
locations?
open space.
Yeah,
Do you want to give me those locations and I can include them in the email when I email them tomorrow?
yeah, I would say for me, the ones I would list would be the island, that's on Thunder Hill Road. Near 175, like it's right next to Lightning View, 175, and I can't think of the name of the street anymore. I don't know, I'm losing my mind here. Anyway, so that's one, and then the other one is Lightning View and Mellingbrook, the one that
So an
I.
island. Also
Yeah, so both are the islands at either end of Lightning View.
Lightning.
Blue Coat, why
Yeah.
can't I think of Blue Coat?
And down
Lightning
this,
What?
One is Lightning View in Mellinbrook, and the other one is Lightning View in Thunder Hill Road, so there's islands,
I got the Thunder. Thank you.
but it's right on Thunder Hill Road.
Okay.
and then down this way, it would be the island at, Stevens Forest Road and the Stevens Forest Pool.
What about the second
And
one?
pool.
The-
you said?
Mhm.
At the pool. The two islands at Kilimanjaro and Stevens Forest. There's one across Kilimanjaro, one across Stevens Forest. Yeah. There's the new island at the 7-Eleven, across, that goes from, yeah, that goes to the new 7-Eleven.
It's right in front of 7-Eleven.
There's an island, just east of Oakland Mills Middle School.
Oh, yeah.
Is that at Pamplona?
Yep, it's
Yeah,
right in
basically at
Pamplona.
Pamplona. And I'm trying to think, is there one at Whiteacre?
I think that's what I was trying to picture.
Let me pull up a
Which
map.
one are you thinking of?
Over by
Does Whiteacre have
Whiteacre.
one?
Oh, does Whiteacre have one? They do. I think
I-
it's
I
right
think
near
they
Shelton
do.
Springs Elementary.
I think it is
Yeah.
too.
Let me just pull it up and make sure.
Right, near the bus stop. I think there's one over there.
Hard to see through all the trees.
Yeah,
It's gotta be in here somewhere.
I think it's around here somewhere.
Over on Shadow, like Shadow Oaks.
Actually, is there one over here too? Yeah, there it is, yeah. Whiteacre and Basket Ring.
1 acre.
Whiteacre,
Oh,
WHITE.
okay.
Whiteacre and Basket Ring. It crosses Whiteacre.
1 acre and basket ring.
Mhm.
Is there one farther down?
Yes, there is. There's also one at Whiteacre and
Another one at 1 acre.
Yeah,
we'll
there's a
just
couple
call
of
it
Whiteacre.
Whiteacre at Shadow Oak.
Yeah.
And finally, Whiteacre at Stevens Forest. Yeah.
They've got a.
Whiteacre, yeah. I mean, really anywhere there's been road upgrades or streetscapes, they've been adding those, which is great, except then who maintains them?
I did it, the last one was at 1 acre.
It was Whiteacre at Stevens Forest.
And they're all on Whiteacre.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were all added when they did the Whiteacre
Yeah.
streetscape.
They did a great job with that.
They did, yeah.
I got it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Vicky.
All right, well, we're on to the bulletin board. Amy, anything?
Oh. The next board meeting, I have jury duty that week, so we'll see what happens. That was my only.
Okay,
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
if anyone likes dance, Oakland Mills High is hosting the countywide dance festival Saturday night, 7 to 9. Tickets are on sale online for $10, no tickets at the door, assigned seating.
I got nothing.
All right, Paulette? Paulette, anything for bulletin board?
Sorry, I was stuck. What did you say?
Oh, anything for the bulletin board?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Andrew?
No, nothing.
All right, well, then we are adjourned, 8:07. Yep,
Nicely
Thanks,
done,
everyone.
everybody.
Night, thank you.
good night, everyone.